Some high-stakes business on the programme now. Stephen Carroll is with us here on set. Starting in the US, aren't you? The government there intervening to stop this major merger that's been talked about for ages now in the media sector, Steve.
That's right. The US Department of Justice is suing to block cable and internet provider AT&T from taking over the broadcast group Time Warner. The lawsuit claims the deal, which is valued at more than $85 billion, would give one company too much control in a rapidly changing media landscape. The challenge is a surprise move, as the Department of Justice rarely intervenes in mergers of companies that don't have overlapping businesses. Claire Rush reports.
The Justice Department's attempt to block the AT&T-Time Warner merger sets up one of the biggest antitrust cases in decades. In a Monday statement, it alleged that the $108 billion acquisition would hurt consumers and competition. AT&T said it would fight the case.
This is a case where we're prepared to go to trial as soon as possible, and hopefully that will happen as quickly as 60 days.
The mega deal is part of AT&T's plan to transform from a telecom giant to a media conglomerate, and comes 2 years after it bought satellite broadcaster DirecTV. AT&T is seeking to integrate its TV distribution network with Time Warner's video content, which includes HBO and CNN. The deal would have been a vertical merger, which links companies that don't directly compete. The U.S. Department of Justice claims that under the deal, AT&T could charge competitors more to distribute Time Warner content. Claims AT&T's CEO denies.
When we announced this deal, the best legal minds in the country agreed that this transaction would be approved, since our companies don't even compete with each other. But here we are. The government has filed a lawsuit, and it stretches the very reach of antitrust law beyond the breaking point.
AT&T will likely press for a court decision before April 22nd, the date before which both companies can leave the deal without penalty.
Now, next to reaction, the news that Paris and Amsterdam are to host two EU agencies. They're leaving London, aren't they, because of Brexit?
That's right, and the reaction of the Irish Foreign Minister Simon Coveney was yet again losing to France. And that's because in the final round of voting for the home of the European Banking Authority, it had come down to Dublin versus Paris, the French capital winning out. Now, the Irish Minister drawing comparisons with France's successful bid to host the 2023 Rugby World Cup, which Ireland had also sought. Now, the European Banking Authority has fewer than 200 employees, but could attract a chunk of the finance industry to relocate with it, partly, of course, explaining the great interest in welcoming these agencies. France's Europe Minister was one of those who welcomed the decision.
At the moment, the EU is concentrating on reforming its banking union, and it's continuing to pursue ambitious projects in the area of economic and monetary union. We're therefore particularly happy that the European Union Banking Authority will be located in Paris.
Let's take a look at what's happening on the markets for you next. And we've got European shares starting the day in the red at the start of trading. Shares in the world's largest contract caterer, the Compass Group, down 5% at the open in London after their results. Incredible statistics about this company. They serve 5 billion meals a year. Their profits were actually up by 15%, but investors are worried because their business that they do on oil rigs was down significantly. Interesting fun fact of the day for you. On the Asian markets, we've seen gains in earlier trading, some general optimism about the state of the global economy helping to boost shares, particularly in Hong Kong. Some more of the day's business headlines for you next. Low-cost airline EasyJet says its business has been helped by the collapse of rivals like Air Berlin and Monarch. It said it has an encouraging start to the new financial year and is expecting revenues to grow in the coming months. Revenues for the year to the end of September rose by 8%. That's helped boost the company's shares by 3% at the open. The Chinese internet giant Tencent has surpassed market capitalization of Facebook. That's a day after the owner of the WeChat messaging service became the first Chinese company to pass the $500 billion market cap mark. The firm's share price had been boosted by its third quarter results. And Janet Yellen has confirmed she's stepping down from the board of the US Federal Reserve when the new chairman is sworn in. In her resignation letter, she promised to do her utmost to ensure a smooth transition when she hands over chairmanship of the central bank to Jerome Powell. Yellen was due to remain on the board of the Fed until 2024.
And finally from Stephen, a swift success, I see what you did there, for a new album.
That's right, Taylor Swift has racked up the biggest album debut of the year with sales of over 1.2 million for her new record Reputation. That's more than double the previous record for this year. In fact, in its first week, Reputation sold more than the albums ranked from 2 to 200 on the Billboard charts combined.
Wow.
Taylor is now the only artist to have sold 3 albums, or rather to have 3 albums sell more than 1 million copies in their first week. Now, as with her previous releases, the record isn't yet available on streaming services like Spotify. This is a strategy she's adapted in the past, like Adele, for example, too, which helps to boost people towards their buying the actual physical record.
Yeah, more incredible statistics from Stephen in the business. Thanks very much.